Okay, we're 2 minutes from the official top for PJ, driver from Iran. He's nominated a distance of 10 meters, so again nominated quite conservatively to put himself near the front of the pack in order to get his swim underway nice and early in the day's proceedings. He looks to have again today around about 2 kilograms of neck weight. He's chosen not to wear, oh yes, he has got a weight belt on. So a lot of the freedivers, once it comes to this discipline, will put some weight around their waist as well in order to just keep a really horizontal position through the water. In fact, there was a second mistake I made this morning. I didn't put a weight belt on. It did mean that my legs were floating quite high in the water, which has a big impact on your glide. A lot of the athletes will spend a fair amount of time in training just making sure that they get the optimal weighting, depending on the pool they're going to be swimming in and what sort of wetsuit they're going to wear, to get that right glide. The glide is one of the most critical factors in the no fins event. So PJ getting set, he's got 1 minute to go, just getting his mask on now. He's opting with a mask rather than nose clipping goggles. Previous diver Andrew Kelly, his distance recorded was 80 meters. Unfortunately, when he came up, he was disqualified. So the disqualification was what we call a dip. So his chin and airways went back under a couple of times. Usually means that the diver's a little close to, close to sort of a hypoxic state. So he wasn't unfortunately awarded the white card. He received a red. Underway in 20 seconds now for PJ.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Official top. 1, 2, 3, 4.
PJ packing air in. About 6 packs. Good push off the wall and he's underway. Nice long glide. Good technique. He's got a very wide arm stroke. It's a discipline very similar to just doing breaststroke. Only difference being that in between each stroke is you want to glide as far as you can and try to keep your legs quite straight. The further your legs come apart or your knees bend up, the more drag you're creating. It's almost like pulling on a handbrake. So PJ underway, he's going a bit skew-whiff on this swim. I think we've got some jets in the pool that do sort of knock you off position a little bit. So a little bit of extra work to do there for PJ just to overcome that. He's coming back up to the shallow end now for a tap at the wall at 50 meters, but looking solid so far. And a nice clean touch at 50 meters for PJ. I normally find in this discipline that roughly 50 meters is where it starts to get pretty uncomfortable. From the looks of PJ, he's feeling uncomfortable because he's speeding up quite considerably now. It's kind of, you want to get the swim over with, but PJ is now doing double the number of strokes just to get up to the 75. He is doing a turn though, so good on him. He's having a bit of a fight. Coming back, looking solid so far. Still got an elevated pace, but swimming comfortably in mid-water. He's not doing the glides any longer though, which means he's got to work additionally hard. Coming to the surface now. Coming to the surface. And he's getting some help. So he's just being looked after by the safety guys. He's just pushed it a little bit far on this occasion. He's going through his surface protocol, but we just want him to breathe. He's okay. Yeah, he's okay. When you get hypoxic like that, it's very hard just to control the airways, just to get back normal breathing. But he's got a big smile on his face, and that's pretty much what happens. Is if you push it this far, you've got to have safety guys around you. It does mean that for 10 or 15 seconds, yeah, you just need a little bit of support just to get your, not to get you breathing, but just to make sure nothing happens while you sort of regain your composure. So PJ looking back to normal here. He'll be disappointed that he hasn't managed to nail that one, but all the same, a very big swim. We haven't seen someone do a blackout wall turning before, have we, John, Judge?
We certainly not have, no. Certainly made my job easy. He was gone before that, though, unfortunately.
We did notice him coming unstuck. Where did you see him come unstuck, John?
At about the 95, just under the bender there. He was not good.
So I'm speaking with John Wright, one of the judges here for the competition at Gladstone today. So John said, starting to pick up some signals on PJ at around about 95 metres that things are going skew with. What sort of things do you normally look for that are signs that an underwater swimmer is coming out unstuck?
Change in stroke, head movement. They look completely different. They go from being nice and smooth to jerky. The movements become, and then basically they just come to a stop.
Yeah, now one of the things we noticed with PJ was a really a noticeable increase in speed from the 50-metre mark. Is that normally a sign, or is that something quite a lot of athletes will do?
Some people speed up as normal, particularly with dynamic, with fins, but with no fins, it's not always the advantage. I think he had numbers in mind rather than emotion, so PJ's a little like that. Sometimes the emotion's thrown out the door.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful on these events. It's so easy to go for the number rather than just to go to what feels right for you on the day.
Yeah, he should really have stopped it just after the 75. I think he started to show real signs that, going much further wasn't going to be good.
Yeah, it's very hard to judge though when you're down there and you've got 30 or so people watching you, got this number, you've done all the work for 3 to 4 months. It's hard to have that moment of clarity around when I should come up, isn't it?
Oh, totally. And having been an athlete and still an athlete at mine, the hardest thing is to give up the ego and get a white card, because really that's what it's about. If you have numbers in your head, you're always going to swim to those numbers. If you don't have the numbers in your head and you listen to what's happening to you, you're a better diver for it.
And the irony is, there's nothing more disappointing than a red card at the end of a hard effort, is there?
There is nothing more disappointing than giving a red card too.
Yeah, that's right. We've got to feel for the judges sometime, especially when the marginal calls. So we've had a marginal call today. Well, it was a clear-cut one by the rules. But then you've had something like a PJ where you go, it's not so hard for the judges.
Well, this being on the internet, I'm an IETA judge, I can't criticise the rules, but there are some that don't need to be there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's been a lot of iteration of the rules over years. As soon as I made my muck up this morning, we're going, you lot are over there. I knew straight away, I stuffed it. And, that's just part of the rules. It's the same rules for everyone. There are a lot of rules, but you know what? Over years, they have become a long way. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally. I mean, you've been around the same time as I have, and we've seen the rules get better, not only in the terms of safety, but the rules get better, taking out the interpretation of them. So it's much more clear cut. And there's still some rules which are about to change on January 1 that I still have to judge them because they're in the book, but ultimately for me they don't work. And a rule that's not in favour of the athlete just doesn't work to me.
That's the ultimate, right? We're trying to get rules that are in favour of the athletes but create a level playing field. Yep. In Australia we have the Australian Freediving Association, the AFA, and they're a body where anyone involved in the sport of competitive freediving can have their say on the rules. They can put in and say, look, I want this changed or that changed, this doesn't make sense to me. And the AFA becomes the voting body that puts forward to the international AIDA, the governing body for freediving in the world, puts forward what changes we want to see. So everyone does actually get representation, does get a voice from each country, isn't that right? Yeah,
that's correct. There is an assembly, I think, of 42 nations, all right? Not all participate in all discussions, but it is, generally it takes a long time because you're always going to have different points of view from different countries. We tend to have a Southern Hemisphere strategy compared to a Northern Hemisphere strategy, and when I say that, it appears that some things, because we're so far away from the world, we appear to have very little say, but ultimately we just want something that's equal across the board.
Freediving is still a roughly, although it's a sport that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years in terms of, people diving in the ocean to gather sponge or pearls, or even on a competitive basis. There's been a lack of research into the sport of freediving, therefore there are still a lot of unknowns. One of the questions I've got for you actually, John, is, so right now we've got PJ sucking on oxygen in order to come right. Is this, thank you, 2 minutes before the next judge, just a very quick answer. Does it help or not?
Yes, in my opinion, it does to restore his normal oxygen content. Sure, it does. Some people would debate that, but if it makes him feel better and it brings his oxygen content back quickly, yes.
Thanks very much, John. I'll leave you to it. Thank you.